In this video, we're going to be looking at how to roll a slab. So first we have to look at what we need to roll a slab before we get started. So you can see the tools here in front of me. First thing we have is a block of clay. You've got to have that. A pin tool, which you should all have within your toolkit. A rolling pin. And rolling sticks or tracks. I often refer to those as the train tracks and the rolling pin as the train. Now, like I said, that's in your toolkit. You've got our clay. Rolling pin and the tracks will be in a bucket, and the rolling pins will be on a cart. And then of course we have our rolling mat, which is a canvas mat that helps you roll slabs without them getting stuck to the table, which is very important. So the first thing we got to do before we get started is we have to make sure our clay is wedged. So I'm going to go ahead and take this over here and wedge this clay. Remember to push down, forward, and rock it back. You can see I'm doing it a few times just to make sure I'm waking that clay up, getting it nice and compressed and active, all those molecules in there working in the way I want. Then I'll go ahead and flip it over and wedge it the other way a little bit. So make sure you wedge it a few times. People always ask, how many times do I have to do it? And I really don't have a good answer for you, but usually do it about 10 times on each side. So now we've got our block of clay, but the problem is this is a big old thick hunk of clay. Now it's going to be kind of hard to work with. You know, if you just try to put this down on the table and try to roll it out, it's not going to work very well because it's super thick. So I like to, give you some tips and tricks to flatten it out a little bit first. So as you can see, if I just put this big old lump of clay on the table, I see people do this. They try to smash it down on their rolling pin and they awkward try to roll it. And you could do this, but it's going to take you a long time. So what I suggest to do is rather, if you're strong enough and you feel comfortable, is squeeze it with your hands. See, I broke off some extra clay there. We don't need quite that much for our first slab. And just begin to pat it down and squeeze it. Now this is one method, and this does work, but a method that I suggest that everybody does is put it on the table and do the CPR method, where we just kind of use our whole body weight and lean on it. It doesn't matter whether you're 90 pounds or 300 pounds. You can lean on the clay and you can get it to spread out evenly and just kind of cake it out. Flip it over and do the same thing. You can see I'm going around moving my hand in circles, so I'm getting kind of a nice ovally shape. And now if we look at this, we see we get a pretty good thickness already just from what we've done with our hands. So now what we want to do is use the train tracks on the rolling pin. So how this works is if you think if this is a train track and then we take our rolling pin, our idea is we want the rolling pin to smash the clay down until the rolling pin is touching the track. This guarantees that whatever is within the body of the track is going to be flat, level, and even thickness. So those are basically like your stopping points. So make sure they're parallel to the piece and make sure that both sides of the rolling pin will be able to touch it when they get down to that depth. And then you can just begin rolling. You can use your hands in the middle or the end, whatever feels best for you and whatever gets you the most leverage. And you'll see here I'm just going to roll it a few times. And as soon as I roll it a few times, I'm going to go ahead and flip it over. This is for a couple reasons. The first one is it helps it stretch out because it tends to bunch up on the bottom. It grabs the canvas. And also it just keeps a nice smooth consistency on both sides. So I'm going to roll it, and eventually you'll hear the sound of the wood rolling on the rollers. So you'll see, and you can get down level with it and look at it, and you'll see that the roller is no longer rolling the clay anymore. You're just rolling on the tracks. And like I said, this guarantees that it's level. So if I go ahead and pick this up, we can take a look at it from the side and you'll see that it looks pretty darn even. So that's good. We want a nice fluid thickness throughout. And really this is the basics to just starting rolling a slab. From here we go on to cutting, tracing, and measuring all the things that we're going to need to cut out of it. And then we're going to use our pin tool to cut out those things.